Welcome to Investors Insights, episode number 161. We want to thank you for all the comments and questions we've received. They help us bring you the information you want. And with that said, let's get right to all the information we need to discuss.
You're listening to Investors Insights with Greg Powell and the Portfolio Strategy team from 5 Plan Partners.
Big conversation this morning. Was thrilled with all the things that are going on. It's not dull here at 5 Plan Partners by any means.
Oh, no.
So let's talk a little bit about this. Bobby, you brought up some great points. We're still staying conservative in our portfolios. You brought up some points this morning in relation to our clients' portfolios about earnings. And let's talk a little federal debt while we're at it.
Yeah, that's a big topic. So we're about 90% of the way through with earnings season. And so as we've been saying all along, we're looking at a 5 to 6% decline in earnings. And that's concerning because earnings are going down and valuations of stocks are staying, here. And so at some point, they've got to converge here. And so that's concerning. So we've been saying it.
The nerd in me says somebody's got to pull out their calculator and make it
Exactly.
It's got to balance out, right? Hopefully the CPAs are watching and say, is it somewhere that's got to work out?
Yeah.
So, but and then what about, the deficit? Talk about government spending.
And so what's really concerning is over the past 2 months, our federal deficit has increased over $100 billion.
Yeah.
And what the problem is we're seeing lower tax revenues and higher spending. And so that's a trickle-down effect because that's going to hurt the state budgets. And so the federal deficit is actually $50 billion below what they thought it would be. So, that's really concerning.
Yeah, and also on the state issue, we've got concerns out there with states on the tax-free bond side.
Yes.
That their ratings may come down just because of that.
Right, and that's how really it touches your portfolio. Everybody's portfolio is higher deficit from states and federal government. They're issuing bonds.
Right.
That's putting supply of financial assets out there.
Right.
And if there's not an increased demand of those financial assets, you'll have prices come down on bonds. Now, it depends on how they issue that debt. If the Fed decides or the government decides to issue 10-year debt, 30-year debt, it'll impact that area. But lately, they've been doing mostly short term,
right.
And so it's less impactful. But that could end up being very impactful if this $100 billion continues to grow.
It really hurts investors' confidence.
Well, and the other thing is, and we've talked about this in blogs, the government spending at this point is not causing the economy to pick up.
Right.
So, and historically, that's been the case.
Right. Yeah, it was supposed to add 0.6% to GDP this year, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
With the election coming up, you've got to think that the candidates will hit on that very strongly.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's going to come to the forefront the news stories.
Right. We're going to start rocking the markets like back in 2011 when there's the debt ceiling and all that.
Right.
Whether or not it comes to fruition, just talking about it makes
the emotion of it, the perception of it. Yeah, absolutely. And also one thing that we talked about possibly that could be going up that could impact portfolios as well. Energy. Talk about that. You brought that point up in the meeting today.
So over the weekend, a couple big stories kind of energy. One, I think a lot of people may be familiar with, but it's really impacting is the big fires blazing up in Canada near the oil sands. It's taking around a third of their production, or about 1 million barrels a day, offline. And that oil comes directly, usually, to the U.S.
Right.
Because it's so easy for Canada to ship down here to pipelines. So that's going to have a quick, direct impact on our oil prices and possibly our gas prices. Now, it's transitory. Those fires won't burn forever.
Right. But ironically, it's all happening as we're entering the summer, and historically, gasoline prices go up in the summer anyway because people are traveling.
Right. Yeah.
The demand goes up.
Exactly. So you're going to see prices go up artificially, and then we'll see. They might come down unexpectedly. It's just it's an unexpected impact on the markets.
And also another point I want to make is that we've talked historically in the vlogs is about government. We have said that the next 3 industries that are going to be impacted by technology are education, healthcare, and government. And that's a whole discussion within itself. But talk a little bit about what's happening in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so over the weekend, Saudi Arabia replaced their oil minister who had served since 1995. That's the head of and that's really big. Saudi Arabia has a huge impact on the market with their policies. So their current oil minister was replaced by someone who's currently the head of Saudi Aramco, which is their oil company.
Right.
That's fully owned by the government. The thought is that he's put in charge because they're looking to IPO a portion or sell to the public markets a portion of
So
their.
Saudi Arabia government's
Saudi Arabia
public.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia's looking to go public.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Yeah. Well, with what's going on in our politics and our government, what's going on over there, technology is changing. So Saudi Arabia is feeling competition from the advancement of technology and different energy sources, correct?
They want to diversify.
Yeah.
Clean energy, battery-powered cars.
Right.
So they're seeing it. They need to diversify their revenues.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, keep that in mind because how that could impact portfolios as well. Something that we're watching. And then, Ashley, I have to do this, and forgive me for doing this, but it's only appropriate. In fact, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out a $20 bill and show that since Andrew Jackson maybe is supposed to be coming off of this at some point. Yeah. and as a guy of presidential history, I'm thrilled. I like change, but also some things stay the same. But one thing that hasn't stayed the same is our dollar.
That's correct.
Our dollar has not stayed the same. And with that, last time I checked, this is just a piece of paper.
Right.
But perception says this is like the gold standard. Everybody agree with me on that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you brought up some great points about how the good old dollar was helping the markets or in terms of multinationals. Talk about that.
It is. And to Bobby's point, Bobby's already mentioned that the sales, really the reports are off on earnings 5 to 6%.
Right.
To Greg's point, the U.S. dollar, if the dollar drops, that helps our large companies here sell internationally.
Right.
Well, the dollar has dropped about 4.5% this year. So if they're already down like that, you have to wonder how much of that has just been currency help and not just systemic help. If you look back 1 year, we mentioned on the vlog, the dollar is probably as low as it's been versus other currencies in nearly a year. So our concern with that is that is helpful. But we would much rather see that impact come from true systematic earnings and sales, a new product coming out, something like that. And probably this dropping dollar has kind of helped prop that stock up a little bit, prop it up a little bit, emerging markets. And we mentioned with oil, too. That's been another dynamic. We've been telling on the vlog for weeks. It's been artificially up. The dollar's another reason for that.
Yeah, and that's something that could impact portfolios. We watch that very closely. Perception is reality.
Correct.
And depending on how people view our currency and the power of spending capability it has can determine a lot of things.
Yeah. So we've gotten some push in the sales behind us from currency, but that can change quickly.
Right, yeah, very much so.
So that's why we watch it.
Right. So to wrap it up, let me just say we're still staying conservative.
Yes.
There are great things going on, but there are those negative things that can cause big cracks in the wall and cause the foundation to crumble. So we want you to build your house on a solid foundation. So on that note, we hope you have a great week. We're going to keep you informed. And we really appreciate all the feedback that you give us and the way you forward this to other people. It's just been tremendous. And for somebody that's been in the business 35 years, really appreciate the way you support us and get the word out. So thanks again. Hope this has been worth your time.